Good morning, all you beautiful souls. I have been through a time where I really had to go deeply into silence and into retreat in a way that it was like, okay, you've come so far, now you need to get further along the way. And I remember that a few years ago when my life was still unsteady, when I had to start life from scratch again, um, I really had to sort of follow the vision that I was given, was all that I had. I had really nothing, and I had to sort of start my life from scratch again. And during that time, I was asked to look further than the earthly mission, but also to realize that I have a universal mission that I needed to fulfill on earth. Now, at that time, I didn't really take much notice of it because I was too busy putting the pieces of my life together again, and also to creating a totally new life for me and a totally new vision. And at that stage, I was putting like every day, step by step, and really sort of coping with life at an every single day level. And of course, that included the night. And now, well, it really started in a greater sense in 2009, but then in a culmination, I really had to go for a tense thing where everything in my life just simply collapsed. And from 2012 on, I really had to now start a new phase of my life, a new vision, a new mission, and put all these little pieces together like one puts a Lego set together. Piece by piece by piece, step by step by step. It became a journey of great faith and also deep surrendering, because this life is not about me, it's not about you, it's about the greatest service that we are called to render on this planet. And everybody's calling and service will be in a different way. For some people, it's cooking the most brilliant food. For some, it's actually being a mother, because a mother is a full-time job. For others, it is to bring new technologies to earth. Everybody's calling is different. For me, it's always been my writing and my teaching, and my soul readings came as a total surprise, and that was given as a gift of remembrance to me for what I've always been involved as an oracle, as a prophet, as somebody that had the visionary abilities to bring form into form and being. And in the last few weeks, as these transitions sort of like come in all sorts of forms and expressions, and I was looking at the way the world was going from a distance, because I always reminded to get the eagle's view and not to be involved in all what's going on there, not because you distance yourself, but also you gain the higher perspective, the cosmic perspective on what's going on. But this morning, that call came so clearly. It's now to really get that universal vision in your life. It's really now the time to get the cosmic mission in and realize that this is a transfiguration into universal mastery. And I was asked to bring this message to you today with great love. I am being reminded that we are now in that phase of 6 years until 2032, where we will be anchoring in the new golden age with great love. And love is the key here. We will all do what we love and love what we do. And when you love something that you do, you're putting in loving energy in all that you do. Those old structures and those old forms will just not be applicable anymore in the new golden age, because life will not be so frenetic anymore. It will be a life where we come with joy and ease. And when my life was falling apart, I had somebody giving me a mantra that I still do every single day. And that all of life comes to me with joy, ease, love, power, abundance, and glory. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and love and power, abundance, and glory. And that mantra has stayed with me with all my life. But with asking to now get my universal mission back, it really brought tears to my eyes. Because in the last few years, in that my whole life was crumbling around me and I had to start something from scratch again. I had my deep connection with my own soul family at galactic and universal levels has returned. I can now remember clearly who I am at universal levels, and to me it was now okay. I know now who I am in truth because I really connected to my soul in the deepest levels. And I really could ask you to connect to your soul, because your soul has all the talents, the abilities, the knowledge, and the know-how that you need for the next few years, and also to build that new golden age. And it doesn't matter about age. It doesn't matter whether you are 10 years old or whether you're 100 years old. That vision is now greater than the call of self. It means that we will now not just focus on what we want to really co-create in the new golden age with love, because it's already being anchored in the here and now, with every thought you think, with every word that gets out of your mouth, and also with every deed that you take or do not take. That's how important it is. When love is in your thoughts, when love is in your words, when love is in your deeds, you cannot be other than the love you in truth are. It comes naturally. And with that, the inner peace comes naturally, the inner equilibrium. And every moment that you are pulled out of that, you have the power to immediately stop the bus and say, up to here and no further. And also when things start happening in your life, to always ask, what is this teaching me? What is it that I have not owned within myself? What is this mirroring back to me where I still need to do my forgiveness decrees and forgive myself and others? That is so important here because it's with countries now as well. The collective muck of the countries are coming up to the fore. We have been through this in South Africa at the time when the new government came in. But those wounds still need healing at a deep level, at a soul level. I remember this very deeply in my own family, and it's deep wounds that I had to heal in my own family and my whole genetic history, because you are your grandfathers and your great-grandfathers and your parents too, from both sides, not just the one side. Years ago, I was actually, after all that happened to me, and after really being broken to the core, I remember that I was sitting at my desk and writing. And before that, one of my staff members at that stage, she was of a Zulu royal family. And she was, I always treat people as I would love to treat myself. It's just meaning, not to say I'm always an angel, I'm not. I have my shadow as much as I like. I have my good side, my other side, and I own my shadow. I always try to. But something happened there that made me aware of something that I never really gave thought to. And I was told by one of my ex-staff members that this beautiful soul had actually contracted AIDS. And we all knew that at one stage. We knew that she was dying of AIDS. And now the message came after all that, and I'd resigned my job, that she had lost her life. She had died. And I just thought myself, and I always bless souls that have transitions, because I know they're going home. They're going to their true soul self, and they continue their journey at galactic and universal levels, because we are all galactic and universal souls. There's not one of us that is not. But the next minute, she appeared before me in a spirit form. And she says, Nkosazana, that is a Zulu word of respect. She said, Nkosazana, I cannot leave this planet without asking you for forgiveness. And I said, well, Charity, you know, I have put that behind me. I'm starting a new life. She says, no, Nkosazana, I want to tell you something. What they did to you was not right. But I never had the courage to step out and actually say what is in my heart. But I cannot leave this planet without telling you that. And you know, the minute that I say to her, but Charity, I forgive you. I have let that go. I love you. Her whole ancestral line, the whole lineage of the Zulu royal family were behind her, and they were filling up the whole of Africa. And then they were blessing me. I had tears running down my cheeks, and for the first time I understood that the African people do not worship their ancestors. They respect the path of who they are, because their whole genetics are actually connected to whatever has been before. And she was released that day, and with happiness, because she had come to make peace with me before she actually agreed to transition. This is very important, because every single country has got their own stuff to work through. And do not think that those that we make heroes of are heroes. I have worked with soldiers who have come back from the battlefields of the Middle East. I have worked with Palestinian kids that I taught. I have worked with soldiers that died 100 years ago on the same battlefield on which my great-grandfathers fought. And I tell you what, it's not a joke. I have worked with South African soldiers who were on the battlefields of Angola. War is no answer to anything. It just creates more pain and trauma than anything else. I was teaching Palestinian kids. I won't tell you the whole story, but I had one of them that had always had machine guns and tanks on his desk. And one day I wanted him to get into the class, and the next minute he was on the floor. If I'd actually stepped into that, he would have dive-bombed me. And I tell you what, South Africa teaches you a lot of things. We've been through it all in so many ways. I kept my cool, and I just sort of asked the angels to help me here and the divine. And then I had this absolute knowing I had to poop, and I said, come to the front of the class, and please tell me, what is your greatest vision? What do you want to do with your life? This is a 12-year-old. So what do you want to do with your life for the rest of your life? What is it that you want to bring into form and being on this planet? That boy stood there and he said to me, I want to be a suicide bomber. Well, I tell you, I nearly fell off my chair. And I said to him, well, why do you want to become a suicide bomber? And that guy said there, it's because my brother was one and we received a medal. I could not speak a word, but my heart was open. And the bell rang. I just stood up and I took that boy in my arms. That's all I did. I couldn't get words out. Because I'd experienced my own brokenness of my own country. You know what? They took me off that class and they put me in kindergarten. And whenever I went, these kids would ask me, Miss, what happened? Miss, why did they take you off our class? Never said anything. One day I was sitting with those kids, the little ones, and in this boy walked. He sat himself down, pushed those little ones away, and he said, "This is my teacher." I had tears because I knew that if I had said anything that day in judgment or in whatever, that boy would have closed off. But because I could not say anything and just my heart was open, the love spoke into him, into his heart, and into his soul. Love is the greatest power there is, but it starts with ourselves. And if we cannot love ourselves into the deepest core and the greatest of who and what we are, then how are we going to love anybody else to that degree? What is it that you would like to contribute to this planet in the next years to build the new golden age with love and through love and in love? That you will continue that work at a universal level and a multi-universal levels with love. That is what we're asked to do. When the vision and the calling is greater than the sum of yourself, you cannot do and be other than the truth of who you are, and then lovingly co-create that with every holy breath you take, with love, through love, and in love, for the greater good of all. That is so important. It's never about the ego. It's never about self-service. It's always about the greater good and contributing in your own unique way to co-create the greater good, the oneness, the unity, the peace and the love, and to be it, to lead by example. That is what we're called to do. Have a very loving, blessed day where your renewed vision and your renewed purpose surfaces in all and every form and way. Thank you for being here.